Welcome to the England Spahtens Show. You may be aware that in the past year we became a non-profit organization, and part of that means that we have to have an elected board, and it is currently time for elections. As a result, the next few shows we're going to be talking to candidates for the different roles and asking them what their intentions, their expectations, their ideas are, and giving you more information for casting your vote for the right person. And if you have other questions, if it makes you think of something else you wish we'd asked, you can reach out, put them in the comments, get in touch with us or the candidate directly, so we can make sure that any questions you have are addressed. Please keep in mind that the voting is not a popularity contest. We're looking for the right people for the job. A lot of the candidates are people we know, but there's also a lot of people we don't necessarily know yet, or we haven't heard that much from in the past, which is why we're doing these interviews, give everyone a platform and let everyone talk about what it is they would like to do. Voting is only available to people who are New England Spahtens members as of September 1st, 2017. And we'll be opening the voting up on October 1st, 2017. You can check the forums, you will see the links. Enjoy the show. So on this episode of the England Spahtens Show, we are doing a little different. As you heard on our intro there, we are talking to the candidates for the different roles for the 2018 New England Spahtens board. This particular episode, we're talking to the nominees for the membership board. And the goal of these shows is to have them tell you what they are interested in doing. And Sandy will ask them some questions that we've built from the group. For the 2018 membership board, we have Kelly Harder and Nikki Leonard as applicants. And I'm going to let Sandy take the lead, and we shall hear from them what they are planning on doing next year, or hoping to do next year.
Sounds very good. So we'll jump right in, and we'll start with Kelly on this first question. And question number one is, people want to know, what does being a Spahten mean to you, and how do you plan to incorporate the qualities of the Spahtens into a leadership position?
So what being a Spaten means to me is really the community and being able to have a group of people that are like-minded within a hobby, or even outside of the hobby. I've built some great friendships, and I think that being able to reach out to members would be able to build into that leadership position of being social and going out there to meet these new people and hopefully bring them in and give them the same great experience of learning to be a Spaten as well.
Excellent. What about you, Nikki?
Well, being a Spaten to me basically means being a part of a big community, and not just being a part of a community, but taking an active role in the OCR community to make it the best for everybody of all sizes, shapes, activity levels, no matter how they want to run. The way I plan to showcase these qualities in leadership position is basically being welcoming to all. It doesn't matter what you look like, how fast you run, where you come from, what you want to do, what race you like. It doesn't matter. I plan to bring this into a place where we can get people from all races, all places, and incorporate them into being a Spaten, being the best of the best there is in the OCR, not by how well you perform, but how you act out there.
Cool. All right, so that leads us into the second question, and Nikki, will stay with you as the first answer. Why do you want this particular position, in this case, the membership director position?
Well, I want this position most important because I've been with the team now since 2014, and as many people who have joined the team, not in the early years, you hear a lot of stories how hard it was to be incorporated. If you didn't know somebody who were out there, you had this passion for the sport, but you didn't really know anyone doing it. The team could be very, very intimidating to approach. There's so many people and they're all friends. How do you get incorporated? So I really wanted to go with this position because I have a huge passion for the team. I've made so many friends, and I want to be able to bring to the team an ability to bring in more people to make them feel more comfortable and have them get the experience I have over the last, 2.5, 3 years.
Sounds good. All right. Kelly, what about you?
I was aiming for this position because I feel that as I was a newer member last year and I kind of dove head first in, and sometimes I'm not sure that people feel comfortable doing it that way, and they need somebody that is able to be a connector or a focal point to bring them into the group. And that's one of the reasons that I was going for this position, was because that I felt within the social, it is easier to reach out to these newer people, especially when you see them coming in, or even online when they introduce themselves, to be able to come in and just have somebody that they're able to go to, and go from there.
Cool. All right. Question number 3. And just like before, Kelly, we'll start with you this time and keep flip-flopping back and forth. So question number 3, and I do want to say, remember to be brief, and you don't necessarily have to go into specifics necessarily, but just in general, what is your plan for the position should you be the membership director?
So I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think along the lines is reaching out to current members as well to help make sure that there is, because I know personally, like, I might not be at every race to be able to know the members face to face, but if you were able to kind of have like a small committee to be able to reach out to those newer members when they see people or introduce them, and give them different ways to reach out when they're at races or even online, and go from there.
Sounds good. And again, we are trying to be pretty general at this point, because obviously the specifics will come into play once we really and truly get going. So, Nikki, what about you?
All right. Attempt to be brief. I can do this. My plan for the position is very similar to Kelly's. I basically want to make a team of people who are going to be available to all the new people at races and online, reaching out, having, sorts of ideas on how to incorporate the new people, maybe things like hats and details, schmetails. We'll get there later. But that's my basic idea, is really finding a way to have new people be able to find certain people at races who can introduce them, who are looking for the new people, certain people who are online, able to find the new people, reach out to them, and start making our members feel incorporated.
All right. Now, question number 4 and number 5 are kind of interrelated, so I'm going to give you a choice as to whether to answer them together or individually. And Nikki, we'll start with you. So the 2 questions basically run around collaboration and accepting input. So will you have opportunities to get help from other Spahtens, including the fact that we've got 2 people running for one position, and of course there can only be one official director, even necessarily or possibly working together with each other, and you'll be part of a larger board. So the idea of getting help and being a team player and collaborate with the rest of the team and the rest of the board. How do you feel about that topic in general?
Awesome. Obviously, as I said before, I plan on getting a team of people to be a part of this project, and no one person can do this alone. We are both very awesome people, both Kelly and I. We have very similar ideas. I'm sure either of us can take this head on, and we'll both be super important to each other going forward with these ideas and making it happen and finding a team. But not just, people who are willing to do this below us, but also the people beside us on the board. We cannot run the Spahtens without a team. This is no one-person job. Whether the giant team, as we're making a board, or even the smaller membership, we have over 5,000 members. We're talking about bringing in new people. We're talking about keeping all the old people included and watching out for them and making an awesome experience for everyone. So teamwork is super key. You know, the best leaders lead from the back. They encourage people to get out there to help out and make them feel empowered. So that's what I'm looking at when I look at those two questions.
Sounds good. Kelly, what about you?
I have to agree with Nikki that I believe that teamwork is key, especially when all of this. And once you have the whole board together, I do feel that all positions are going to have to cooperate, and they will end up working together depending on which board member is working with it, because no matter what, membership is going to focus on, or members are going to have something to say within each section. Because it's going to affect the team as a whole. And I believe that incorporating other Spahtens who may not be on the board is going to be a way to build that teamwork and be able to build the membership and incorporate current members, older members who might not be as active anymore, as well as new members who, whether they're just joining the OCR community or they've been within OCR for a while, except for they're starting to just find the team.
Okay, that brings up something interesting and is very position specific, because the next question is transitioning into specific questions for each position. And that for membership is, it sounds like from what I'm hearing from both of you, is that you see yourselves as being a liaison between the team and the rest of the board and vice versa. Does that sound about right?
I would agree with that. I think it is a way, sort of, in a way, it would be to advocate in case there was something that, and maybe they weren't comfortable going to one of those board members for, or being able to connect that team member to that board member, if that makes sense.
It does. Nikki, anything to add?
Yeah, and I would agree with Kelly. Having a person who, especially with the new people coming in, looking for a way to connect with the team, it would certainly be a bit of a liaison position, whereas teamwork is super important, where people have ideas, they can go to the board members appropriately, but if it comes over all team feeling and how they feel about different things within the team, if there's issues or not, I think the membership board would definitely take a very active role. There'll be a point of contact from the get-go.
Perfect. So I think that wraps up all of the questions that were very specific. I do want to say before we start to wrap this up that if anyone listening to this podcast has specific questions that either something one of our candidates has said during this podcast brought up that you didn't think of before, or you didn't get an opportunity to ask a question prior, you can ask any questions you'd like in the comments section of this, and I'm sure our candidates and Paul and myself will do our best to answer those questions. But now let me toss it back to each of the candidates individually and ask if you have any final comments, anything else that we didn't ask that you were hoping that we would have brought up, or basically anything that hasn't been said yet. And Nikki, we'll go ahead and start with you on this one.
Super. Basically, Kelly and I seem to have very similar ideas. I think we'll both be super great in this position. You know, the only thing that's going to really differentiate is probably our details. And, you know, that's something that we'll probably get in somewhere along the line. But I think both of us have a really great outlook on this. I'm super excited, and I look forward to working with Kelly one way or the other, and everybody else who wants to come join us. It's a pretty big project that we both want to take on.
I think that's probably the understatement of this entire podcast right there, because I think membership might be one of the bigger roles out there. Kelly, what about you? Any final thoughts?
I have to agree that I think no matter whatever way that we would be working together, that we would work well because we have the same, very similar outlooks as Nikki has stated. Honestly, Nikki took the words right out of my mouth. So I have to agree with a lot of what she has just said.
That's why I wanted to make sure that I bounced back and forth as far as who went first, because I was thinking there might be a lot of overlap there.
Definitely. There's been a lot of feedback on the team. I bet both Kelly and I have been watching, seeing what people are looking for, what they want. And I know personally I've came to that conclusion. And then hearing Kelly, it's like, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking. This is awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
That sounds fantastic. And I do personally want to say thank you to both of you who have stepped up to run. And very quickly before we wrap it up, I do want to address the fact that we originally did have a third candidate. Michelle Heiko-Hill has decided to pull herself out, but she also has stated that she is looking forward to helping whoever it is that is in the position, even if she's not one of the ones running for the director position itself. So in case any of you is wondering why we only have 2 people, that's why. And again, I want to reiterate that if you have any questions that haven't been answered, please feel free to leave them in the comments. You can also reach out to any of us via Facebook Messenger or email if you happen to know our email addresses. I know that we will be setting up emails for each of the director positions, but obviously those are not set up yet. But I think you guys can get a hold of us if you need to. Paul, anything else to wrap up?
No, I want to thank everyone for their time. I mean, putting your names out there for 2018, it's gonna make the team grow. It's gonna be awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.